What's up, guys? Swann Fan 101 here, and this is my Extreme Rules pay-per-view review. Extreme Rules. It happened just this week, so I'm finally getting to a pay-per-view review not long after the pay-per-view is over. I plan on trying to get to some of the NXT Takeover reviews after this, if I can. I think I might be a little bit busy in the next couple of weeks, like something might come up. But other than that, I think I'll be good. Hopefully I'll have time to do it. I'm desperately trying to catch up on pay-per-view reviews, but I keep being lazy and watching other shit. Anyways, Extreme Rules, the pay-per-view, it was a good show with its fair share of crap. I will get to that. Let's just start with the opening match. The opening match was the yeah. I kept on mixing up the tag team titles and Intercontinental title matches. The opening title match was Dean Ambrose defending the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz. In a match where if Dean Ambrose got himself disqualified, he would lose the championship. Yes, nothing screams Extreme Rules like a match where if you get DQ'd, you lose your title. Bullshit. Bullshit. That is bullshit. Yeah, this show, you know what it reminded me of on a smaller degree? It reminded me of TLC 2013, in which on that entire pay-per-view, there was only one gimmick match, which was the main event between Randy Orton and John Cena to unite. Man, it's windy outside. To unite the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships to make the undisputed champion. It was a TLC match. There were no other gimmick shows on that show. Gimmick matches on that show. Even though every other year there's always a gimmick match, ladder match, tables match, chairs match, whatever, what so have you. Same thing here. This is the story of the pay-per-view. It said Extreme Rules on it. Nothing was really that extreme. I mean, there were obviously some gimmick matches, like the steel cage match and the kendo stick on a pole match. But other than that, it was really not that extreme. This match, despite having a stipulation that would have worked for any other pay-per-view, it was actually a really good match. Miz once again went out there and did really well. Miz, since 2016, winning and having Maurice be his valet, he's been pretty awesome lately. This is no exception. Miz and Ambrose had a really great match. I had to say. Not a great match, a really good match. So here's how the match ended. It was just good in-ring action. The match ended with when Miz again throughout the match trying to tease Ambrose and disqualifying himself. Ambrose would times go crazy. The referee had a little bit of leeway in this match, knowing what could happen. Instead, here's what happened. Dean Ambrose, ran into Maurice. Miz almost ran into Maurice, and Miz yelled at Maurice to slap him, so he would get disqualified. So Maurice, after a couple times of saying this, Maurice did slap him. Then the referee, I think my voice might be going out. I don't know. The referee, saw this. He saw Miz getting slapped, but he knew it was part of Miz's heel shtick. So he's like, no. Not only are we continuing this match, Maurice is going to the back. What happened is, on our way to the back, Maurice, like a bitch, ran back down to the ring to be bitchy to Dean Ambrose, try to get involved. And Miz was distracted by this. So, and what Miz did, I think, if I remember correctly, Miz low blowed with Dean Ambrose, and then ran Dean Ambrose, or maybe he didn't low blow him, but whatever the case, he ran Dean Ambrose into the referee. Referee thinks Ambrose attacked him on purpose when it was just an accidental run through on Ambrose's part. So that's when the referee teased disqualifying Miz. And he walked around the whole ring to the timekeeper's area, which to me that never really made any sense. You can call for the bell at any point you want in the match, anywhere in the building. You don't have to go to the timekeeper's area and call for the bell. That to me was stupid. He was about to call for the bell, but then Miz hit a skull-crushing finale and got Dean Ambrose 1, 2, 3. Miz is your new Intercontinental Champion. 7-time Intercontinental Champion. I believe he's the only person to do that, with the exception of Chris Jericho, who's a 9-time champion. Miz needed to win the title, because, not that I don't like Ambrose as a champion, but I don't know why, but for whatever reason, a lot of importance seems to be when Miz is holding the title. I hope he holds the title for a while, until a credible challenger is made to have a face champion. Miz needed to win here, and he did. The next match was, didn't really like this match. Alicia Fox versus Noam Dar. Alicia Fox versus Noam Dar actually would be quite entertaining. No, it was a mixed tag team match of Alicia Fox and Noam Dar versus Rich Swann and Sasha Banks. They said on commentary, because going into the show, I thought Swann and Banks were gonna win, and when they said on commentary that Rich Swann was in his hometown, I'm like, yep, I know WWE, Noam Dar and Alicia Fox are gonna win because they always want to create a giant middle finger to whoever's the hometown boy. Well, thankfully they didn't do anything. They forgoed that little thing for now. And Rich Swann and Sasha Banks got the win after 7, 8 minutes? How long was this friggin' match? 8 minutes? Not even. It was 6 minutes. It was a little over 6 minutes. This match didn't do anything for me. It wasn't god awful, but it was just not a good match. I personally just didn't like it. Alicia Fox to me is not that good of a wrestler. Noam Dar and Rich Swann are good, but being in a mixed tag team match in this case held it back. Especially since I really do not like Noam Dar's character. If you look at my channel and you look up some of my WCPW reviews, I praised Noam Dar because he was really freaking good. And now he's doing this shit with Alicia Fox, and I just think it's holding Noam Dar back. And speaking of holding back, what the hell has happened to Sasha Banks? I really hope they're just holding out Sasha Banks for an eventual feud with Alexa Bliss, because that would be awesome. But Sasha Banks does not need to be in a mixed tag team feud with 205 Live members. Because that's what Noam Dar, Rich Swann are. Even Alicia Fox. They're members of 205 Live, basically. Sasha Banks should be going for the championship or in a major women's feud. Not doing whatever the hell that they did. So, and I thought that this match might actually be the worst match of the show. I'm glad Rich Swann and Sasha Banks got the win. In fact, now that I think about it, before I continue, this actually may have been Noam Dar's first WWE pay-per-view since joining the company way back in September. So, a little bit weird that's been. But I thought this might be the worst match in the show. Nope. Next was Alexa Bliss defending the WWE Raw Women's Championship against Bayley in a kendo stick on a pole match. So, they already do Bayley no favors by having Bayley first of all, not stop, but having Bayley be one of the centerfolds of that shitty This Is Your Life segment, to the point where WWE themselves make fun of the segment because they know how bad it is. It killed Bayley, Because Bayley, for all these weeks of feuding with Alexa Bliss since she won the title, has been beaten and beaten and beaten by the 5 feet of fury. Hang on, I gotta fill up my water bottle. My throat's giving out on me. Sorry about that. But anyways, so yeah, this match sucked. It sucked. That's all I gotta say. I mean, the This Is Your Life segment was bad enough. Beating down Bayley was bad enough. I'm like, okay, this only really makes sense if Bayley's winning the championship, or at the very least goes out, loses to Alexa Bliss on a really strong note. Nope. Not at all what happened. Instead, this match went all of 5 minutes. And I thought it went 4 minutes. Apparently it went 5 minutes. It went all 5 minutes. It was the shortest match on the show, even more so than the pre-show, which was actually a pretty decent match between Kalisto and Apollo Crews. Kalisto, by the way, won that match, in case you were wondering. Yeah. This match did nobody any favors, except for maybe Alexa Bliss, but Alexa Bliss is your champion. And she's already been portrayed as a little bit of a strong champion, despite her shortness. But yeah. But what is the first spot in the match they do? Like, for example, they portrayed Bayley as so stupid and so humiliating. Before the match even started, Bayley was in a backstage segment being questioned by one of the interviewers, and she talked about how Wonder Woman inspired her to win tonight and all that shit. First of all, I don't believe for 1 second she even saw Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman came out 2 days before the pay-per-view. You don't have free time 2 days before your before a pay-per-view. You do advertising, most likely at the city that you're in. You don't have time to watch movies, and if you do, it's like a really small amount of time. Second, I don't believe for 1 friggin' second that this was something Bayley came up with on her own. I believe Vince McMahon, basically, or Kevin Dunn, or whoever the writers were, told her to say, mention Wonder Woman. It'll get free press. All it did was make Bayley look so stupid, and it made Bayley look so childish. And I get it. I get Bayley is childlike, but you have to give her a sense of seriousness to her. You didn't hear her making freaking movie references in NXT. Yet when she came to the main roster, I believe this is not her only movie reference. I might be wrong, but I think she's made references to other things. So that already makes her look so geeky. It makes her look geeky. And look, I'm a geek, but I am a geek, and I talk about this shit. Bayley is not supposed to be portrayed as a geek. She's supposed to be portrayed as a childlike hero to the masses, not as a complete loser who's like, this movie helped inspire me and it will inspire the women. That's something Vince McMahon would totally say. Just remember, it was a couple years ago during the Divas Revolution that all Paige and Charlotte kept on talking about was Serena Williams, and I believe it was Serena Williams, and Ronda Rousey, and the women's soccer team. Over and over again. Yep. Bullshit. Not just with the build-up to this match. The match itself, it went only 5 minutes, so you could say at least in the 5 minutes they can go really hard. Because I've seen a couple of New Japan matches. A couple matches in Japan, and hell, matches in Lucha Underground where guys are only given 5 minutes, and yet in those 5 minutes they kick quite a bit of ass. Yet, here, in 5 minutes, they stunk up the joint. This is the first time in a while I gave a women's title match this. This match was a dud. This match was a dud. I'm not even going to give a star rating. D-U-D. Dud. It sucked. It really did. I don't know how else to say it. It really kind of stunk. Anyways, like for example, and I know I'm going off on a rant here, but I need to say this. Bayley, I think the match started like this. Alexa said, "Go get the kendo stick. It's on the pole," which already is a stupid idea. I wonder if Vince Russo is booking again. She called Bayley to go get the kendo stick. Guess what? I'm like an idiot. Bayley went to go get the kendo stick, and then Alexa beat on her. Idiot! So eventually, the kendo stick came down from the pole after like 2 minutes. They fought to try to get to the kendo stick, like it was the most important thing in the world. Bayley eventually grabbed it, and then she didn't exactly hesitate, but she milked it in. She milked in wanting the pleasure of hitting Alexa Bliss. Thankfully, Alexa Bliss is not stupid. She threw Bayley, I think, into the corner turnbuckle, whacked her a bunch of times with the kendo stick, hit the DDT, 1, 2, 3. Alexa Bliss is still the WWE Women's Champion. I'm happy Alexa Bliss is the champion, but Bayley was made to look so weak here. Some people go as far as to say she was buried. And look, I know some people throw that term around a lot, but the way she was booked, the way the build-up was, and the way this match ended, you can make an argument that she was buried in the match. I won't go that far. I need to see the aftermath of what happens, because I need to see the aftermath. Because Bayley was not on Monday Night Raw the night afterwards, so Bayley really needs she needs a lot of help. There's a chance to build her back up, but it's gonna take a while. It's gonna be like how Randy Orton was when he got buried by Triple H back in 2004, when Orton won the title too early. Triple H, as well as the rest of Evolution, turned on Randy Orton too early, and then blew off a world title match the next month where Triple H won the title. It took a long time for Randy Orton to heal. It took him about 3 years to actually heal from that. Don't get me wrong, he was in some somewhat high-profile feuds like The Undertaker. He feuded with The Undertaker. He feuded with Rey Mysterio, with Kurt Angle. He was a tag team with Edge as the rated RKO. But it wasn't until 2007 when he went singles again, and he started beating the shit out of everybody. And that's when he really picked up his steam back. Same thing with Bayley. Bayley, I'm not giving up on Bayley yet until I see the aftermath. If she's not doing anything in the next few weeks or the few months, I'm gonna say, yeah, that was a burial. They buried Bayley. So that's my rant on that. I'm sorry, but that's exactly what happened. It made Bayley look so weak. Next match was thankfully not a piece of shit. It was the Hardy Boyz defending the WWE World Tag Team Championships against Cesaro and Sheamus in a steel cage match. And I knew as soon as the steel cage match was going on, how is Hardy going to jump off the cage? And for me, there was only 2 ways. Is he going to jump off the cage doing a Swanton Bond? A Swanton Bond. I want to see that as the next James Bond film. No. A Swanton Bomb from the top of the cage, or is he going to go with a Whisper in the Wind? Because he's done Whisper in the Wind from the top of the cage before. He did it back in No Mercy 2000 when it was Edge and Christian defending the tag titles against the Hardy Boyz. And Jeff Hardy did that too on top of the cage. Although when you look back at that one, Jeff Hardy barely even grazed the 2 people that were below him. Thank God Jeff was young and not old, or else he'd have his back broken. And then he did it years later to Umaga in 2000. I believe it was 2008. Maybe it was 2007, but pretty sure it was 2008 in a steel cage match. And then later on TNA, he would do top rope shit from the top of the steel cage. I remember when he was playing Willow back at Lockdown 2014. He dived off the top, chest first, basically onto the mat. Barely anybody caught him. Like, they barely caught him, but it was a botch. And then I remember one time in Lockdown 2012, he did the same. He did a Swanton bomb from the top of the steel cage to Kurt Angle, and he actually won the match against Angle at Lockdown that year, 2012. A great match, by the way. Go watch it. Anyways, so as far as the match here, it was a pretty good match. It wasn't a great match. I was hoping for something a little bit better. They made in this match they made the rules that both members of the tag team had to be out on the floor at the same time. So there are no pinfalls and no submissions. For the most part, this was a nice back and forth match. Jeff Hardy came out of the match. Jeff Hardy came out of the cage. He got out about, I'd say, about halfway into the match. And then he had to watch Matt Hardy, because Matt Hardy did a lot of the work with Sheamus and Cesaro. Trying his best to escape the cage. Several side effects. I think he gave both of them a twist of fate at one point. Eventually, the numbers grew too much. Matt Hardy got beat down. Jeff Hardy had to get back in the cage. He tried at a couple of points to help Matt get out, but that didn't work. So instead, Jeff Hardy said, screw this, went to one of the corners on top of the cage, and did the Whisper in the Wind to both Sheamus and Cesaro. However, this proved to me to be the Hardys' undoing. Because while that took down Cesaro and Sheamus, it took out Jeff Hardy. Matt Hardy was on his feet, but Jeff Hardy was out. So Cesaro and Sheamus were climbing a side of the steel cage, trying to get out. Matt Hardy was dragging Jeff's lifeless carcass to the cage door. Matt Hardy was out on the floor. He had to drag, and just seconds before he could get Jeff out of the cage and onto the floor, Cesaro and Sheamus both landed on the floor first. They successfully climbed out. Cesaro and Sheamus are your new tag team champions. I would have preferred to keep the titles on the Hardy Boys. I would have liked to have seen them drop the titles to the Revival when they build Revival up to that point, because they recently returned to Raw. And I would have liked to have seen Matt and Jeff feud with the Revival, because you know they have to have some kick-ass matches, or some it would just would have been really cool. But I will admit, Cesaro and Sheamus were kind of dicked from their first title reign. The first title reign only lasted a month, maybe even less than that. So I'm glad they have a second chance at a title run. As far as the match itself, pretty good match, I gotta say. A little bit underwhelming, maybe, considering who's involved, but it was still a pretty good match. I wasn't too disappointed. The match I was disappointed with was the next match. The second to last match on the card, which should mean it's somewhat of an important match. Neville versus Austin Aries in a submission match. Now, I wanted this to be a ladder match, because I know that'd be awesome and probably would suit both wrestlers. But because of the one of my friends told me that because there was a Money in the Bank pay-per-view as well as a ladder match at WrestleMania, it probably would not happen here. But it was a submission match, and this match went all of, I think, like 15 minutes. This match went 17 and a half minutes. So they had almost main event time in order to get a great match. And I don't know what it was. I don't know whether or not they were told to do this, but the match was but because it was a submission match, there was a lot of heat working on the knees. By the way, heat working on the knees. The knees never even came to play during the final part of the match, so it was completely pointless. So basically, we went through slow wrestling holds for nothing. It was not a bad match. Let's face that. It wasn't a bad match. It wasn't. But the match was so disappointing. I could only give it, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it 3 stars. It was so disappointing. And I gotta say, this entire feud has been somewhat disappointing. Maybe not in terms of even the story. Like, it started off strong with Aries returning and hitting Neville with the discus forearm. but it just their best match was at the WrestleMania pre-show, the first match of WrestleMania technically, and that was their best match. And they did it with a crowd that wasn't even totally paying attention. Like, don't get me wrong, the match got crowd audience, it got crowd reaction, but it was only a pre-show match. So you think, okay, the match is on the other two shows, they'll give them more time to have great matches. WrestleMania ended up being their worst match. This entire feud, you'd think it would be awesome considering who's involved. Nope. And I really hope this means that, because Austin Aries is taking some time off to heal some nagging injuries, so I hope that means that Aries is leaving the Cruiserweight division, going to the main roster, and hopefully feuding with someone more memorable. I actually wouldn't mind some matches with him and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, or hell, if they want to put him in with the Miz, that would actually be pretty good. Some back and forth on the mic banter with the Miz. If there's anyone who could go head to head with the Miz on the mic, it is Austin Aries. He's proven his mic skills in TNA when he was a heel. And yeah, granted he's not a heel here, but it would still be pretty cool. The match itself, it ended when Neville, well, first of all, there wasn't one good spot where Austin Aries hit the turnbuckle power, not the turnbuckle powerbomb, but a powerbomb from the turnbuckle, and then immediately went into the last chancery. Neville, I don't think he raked the eyes. I think he grabbed the bottom rope. Aries went for a move. I honestly forget part of what happened. That's how forgettable this match was. It wasn't a bad match, but it was a forgettable match. At one point, Austin Aries was on his stomach. Neville hit the Red Arrow, went for the Rings of Saturn, and then Austin Aries had no choice but to tap out. Still, your Cruiserweight champion, Austin Aries. Still your Cruiserweight champion, Neville, which is probably the right choice in the end. He needs to drop it to someone like Akira Tozawa or Cedric Alexander, or someone who could really gain from beating Neville. Because as great as Austin Aries is, he wouldn't gain all that much from beating Neville, other than just the championship. So, the disappointing match wasn't horrible, but it's a perfectly skippable match if you're, especially if you're not a fan of all the holds that don't mean anything in the end. Main event though, Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Seth Rollins in a Extreme Rules Fatal 5-Way. Outside of the fact that this match did not really feel, and again, this goes back to the feel of most of the show, it did not feel like an Extreme Rules match, despite the fact it was called that. Match went 30 minutes long, and even though my one complaint of this match is that it did not feel like an Extreme Rules match, or as extreme as it could have been. A steel chair was used a few times, but other than that, it didn't mean anything. Why call it an Extreme Rules Fatal? Why did they give the Extreme Rules match to Ambrose and Miz, or to Neville and Aries? If you're having a Fatal 5-Way match, it's already no disqualification or no countout. Calling it an Extreme Rules Fatal 5-Way match is just tacking on a name to promote it. Other than that, though, this match was actually pretty kick-ass. Despite the fact weapons were rarely used, this match was pretty friggin' awesome. Several spots were great. I'm just gonna skip to the end here because the match was great. In my opinion, it was great from beginning to end. A little bit methodical. It was a little bit of a methodical kind of match, but it was a good kind of methodical. Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe, they teamed up for a while and ganged up in the other three. The implosion happened when Seth Rollins was going for a dive. Bray Wyatt was in the way. Then he pushed Samoa Joe in the way. That effectively turned their breakup, and they started fighting each other later on. The big spots of the night were when Samoa Joe, Finn Balor was going wild. Who, by the way, Finn Balor was the most over guy in the match. He was being choked out by Samoa Joe. He wasn't given a cocaine clutch. It was a normal sleeper hold on the outside. Roman Reigns hit the spear through the timekeeper's barricade area, on and hit the spear on Joe and Balor through that area. And Bray Wyatt, who had been set up by Balor on one of the announce tables, was hit by a frog splash from the top rope of the ring by Seth Rollins. So now every guy is down. And then the two to get up are Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Some good back and forth is going on. These guys do share really good chemistry. Then I believe Bray Wyatt gets involved. At one point, hit the Sister Abigail. Wyatt. At one point, Wyatt did hit a Sister Abigail and Seth Rollins, but then he went against Roman Reigns. Reigns hit the spear on Bray Wyatt. He hit the Superman punch on Finn Balor, who came back in the ring. Then Roman Reigns was signaling to hit the spear on Balor. Balor hit him with a sling blade. That was actually a pretty good pop from the crowd. The crowd popped at that. He hit the corner turnbuckle dropkick. He went for the coup de grace off the top rope. Hit Roman Reigns with it. And just as he was about to go for the pin, as he was pinning him, Samoa Joe came out right out of Bat Out of Hell, put Finn Balor in the coquina clutch, and Finn Balor passed out. Your number one contendership for the WWE Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar at the July pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire, Samoa Joe. And I gotta be honest, I was happy. I was elated because you gotta give Brock Lesnar some challengers in these next few months. Joe, a match with Joe is something that a lot of us have been waiting for a very long time. Going back to Joe's days in TNA, we're just thinking, what if Samoa Joe of 2005 could go up against Brock Lesnar of 2003? That would have been amazing. That would have been amazing to see. Or Joe of 2004 against Brock of 2004 before he left. That would have been awesome. But now we're getting it, and I pray to the Lord that I really hope that instead of squashing Samoa Joe, they have a competitive match. I want it to be an overall fight. I don't want a 5-minute squash match like Brock has done with Randy Orton, with Seth Rollins, and with other guys. But no. I want a nice 15 to 20 minute brawl beatdown match. I want to see these guys kick ass. I want to see a match very similar to Lesnar. But I was about to say Joe versus Punk. But speaking of Punk, it was Punk versus Lesnar from SummerSlam 2013. A really competitive match where CM Punk is at times constantly on the Lesnar's heels, or Lesnar's toes, whatever. I want to see a knockdown, drag-out fight. And this is the one, and I hear this is only going to happen once, because there are plans later on to do Strowman versus Lesnar, Balor versus Lesnar, and Rollins versus Lesnar before they get to Reigns at WrestleMania. So I really hope that Joe takes the fight to Lesnar. He should. Because I did make the argument that because of Samoa Joe's shape and how the guy is built, it's going to be really hard to wrestle Joe like Brock has wrestled other guys. If you think about it, Brock has usually wrestled smaller guys. The only big guy that he has wrestled is the Big Show. Rusev is a little bit different. Rusev is similar to Joe, but he's different. But I want to see him go up against Big Show. But no, I don't want to see him go up against Big Show. No, but he's gone up against Big Show. He's done suplexes to Big Show, but he can't do it to Big Show like all the time. That's why he doesn't. But Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe, I think, can be a really competitive match. I just hope WWE doesn't screw it up by having Joe get squashed in a few minutes. I will snap. And after that Samoa Joe segment with Paul Heyman the next night on Raw, it's giving me a little bit of hope that WWE can get it done. They can persuade Brock Lesnar, just be competitive. Don't squash him. Just be competitive with Joe, because Joe is one bad mother effer who wants to kill you. They did the squash with sort of the pseudo squash with Goldberg. That makes sense, also because Goldberg can't go that long. But they really need to build Joe up as a badass machine. I want to see Joe not just wrestle matches on Raw and beat people, but I want to see him dominate. I want to see him destroy, and prove to Lesnar that he's got balls to go up against the Beast incarnate. So with that said, guys, this was a good show. I won't call it a great show. It definitely was not a great show. It wasn't a horrible show either. I'll call it a good show. Go out of your way to watch the main event and maybe the opener, but you can skip most of the show. It's not a bad show, but it can be skippable here and there. So with that said, guys, be well, stay safe. I'll be back next time, hopefully with an NXT TakeOver review. Until next time, guys, peace.